I'm Rob Skinner, and this is the Rob Skinner Podcast. Today I'm sharing what I learned from fasting for 7.5 days. All this and more on the Rob Skinner Podcast. Welcome back to the Rob Skinner Podcast. My goal is to inspire you to live a no regrets life, make this life count, and multiply disciples, leaders, and churches. This last Monday, I just finished a 7.5 day fast. Here's why I did it and what I learned. First thing, I needed God's help. The Bible says God answers prayer and fasting. In Ezra chapter 8, verse 23, it says, "So we fasted and petitioned our God about this, and he answered our prayer." I have a close relative who's currently trying to get right with God right now. And I've been trying for years to persuade them to return to God without effect. It just hasn't worked. No matter how much I begged, pleaded, just petitioned, done everything, it just hasn't changed a heart. But now their heart is changing. And it's really, really encouraging and inspiring. And I know without a doubt, only God can change their heart. I just know it. I've tried. I've tried for years. Jesus said in John chapter 15 and verse 5, "Apart from me, you can do nothing." I'm naturally a self-reliant person, but only God can do this kind of deep heart level work. I'm also studying the Bible with an extremely high net worth individual that I met at a weekly men's group or men's breakfast that I attend here in Boston. And it will be a total miracle if he becomes a Christian. Jesus said so himself in Matthew chapter 19 and verse 23. Then Jesus said to his disciples, "Truly I tell you, it is hard for someone who's rich to enter the kingdom of heaven. Again, I tell you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for someone who's rich to enter." In the past of downplaying the power of God and thinking, oh, I'm going to be the exception to what he says. But I've learned a couple things over the years. And one thing is that if that's what Jesus says, it's exactly what he means. And I've just got to stick with it and go, okay, one, apart from him, I could do nothing. Two, it's tough for rich people to make it. And three, it's impossible. And so I better do something. I better go at it a different way. It's not going to be my razzmatazz or my personal experience or my teaching ability, years of experience, nothing. That counts for nothing. And if this man makes it, it will only be through God's calling and power, not through my planting and watering. Another desperate need was a lifelong friend, Barry Lusk, who nearly died from sepsis and who is slowly and still recovering in the hospital. And we love John and Barry so much. They've been great friends of ours since I was a young Christian when John and Barry moved from Louisiana to the Bay Area. And so it's been decades upon decades. And so for her, they just recently retired and then she got sick and nearly died. I mean, was on a ventilator for a number of days and she's slowly recovering in the hospital. So all these three things were happening. And I just thought, none of these things I can directly affect. None of these things I can push any buttons that will really have any power except just simply asking God and pleading with him to work in a way that I can't. And I just got to be honest. I don't like fasting. And the idea of fasting is a huge, huge barrier. Just the thought of it is just like, oh no, I don't want to do it. And at times I go, I should fast. And then I go, no, don't do it. And I like the idea of being closer to God, definitely. And Joel chapter 2, verse 12 advises that fasting is one way to get closer to God. When he says, return to me with all your heart with fasting and weeping and mourning. But I'm sorry. I just often find a reason not to fast. I mean, it's just to start with really tough and super demanding on your body. However, the huge need that I felt for supernatural help just overcame my reluctance. At some point, I'm just like, I just need to. I really need God here. And I know that Jesus assumes that we're going to fast because in Matthew chapter 6 and verse 16, he says, when you fast. He doesn't say if you fast. There's an assumption that we're going to fast. And he even says that in another passage when he says, when the bridegroom is no longer there, then they'll fast. And that's kind of the period that we're in. Another motivation for me to fast was I was reading from Seneca last summer on my sabbatical or career break. I took a few months off. And in that, it's great. It's great writing. It's just amazing to think this guy was not a Christian. He's just, but really a lot of teachings that I think are good for you on a emotional level and just personal level. But he recommends that you set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare or food. And ask yourself, is this the condition that I feared? And so basically, he compares it to like soldiers. He compares fasting or eating simple food or scanty food with soldiers drilling and preparing for battle. They do it during times of ease so that it's natural when the crisis happens, when battle begins. And so he also offers this. This is another thing that Seneca said. We have become accustomed to eating for pleasure, not for nourishment. Isn't that the truth? I mean, especially if you've grown up in America and the food is so rich, it's crazy. I mean, just you're choosing between Cheetos or Doritos. It's either brie cheese or Gouda. I mean, just like let's come on, guys, let's just talk about that. We're just talking about it's not like that's needed for nourishment, but man, and he also says, hunger will make even coarse bread delicious. So, my theme this year, my spiritual theme, and I've shared this before, is strict training that Paul talks about in 1 Corinthians chapter 9. So, fasting helps me, toughens me, and prepares me for whatever God may have in store for me, either good or bad. I want to be ready. That's another little mantra I repeat to myself. When God calls my name, I will be ready. I'm in strict training. So now that the fast is over and done, yay, I'm really glad I did it. Here's what I experienced on the fast. Let me just kind of give you a little rundown. First of all, hunger pains were very manageable after the first day. I mean, the first day is like, okay, it's a little challenging. And actually, all the way until the very last night. So I started on Sunday night at 9 p.m. after church. I had dinner. And then the next day was okay, just a little challenging, but then it just was pretty good. It's weird how your body just kind of goes, okay, it gets trained. It just kind of shuts down and goes, all right, you're not getting any food here. I'm not going to worry about it. And then the very last day was just tough because that's when my mind started going, okay, it's just still tomorrow. I wake up, I'm going to eat tomorrow. So I think maybe it's more of a mental thing than anything. Like you're just thinking, just wishing. I wanted to fast forward my last day so that I could wake up Monday morning and eat. I was just like, okay, let's just wrap up these appointments. Let's move on. Let's go. I want to go to bed so I can wake up and eat. Another thing is eating food again. Once you start food, start eating it, it's not as great as your mind plays it up to be. Even though I was like, oh, I can't wait to taste that food. Once you eat the food, you go, it's pretty good. But it's for sure it's better than not eating, but not as good as your mind builds it up to be. So definitely the mind has a super big role to play here. Another thing is that no one noticed I was fasting except my wife. I mean, my son, who's been living with us for a while, he didn't notice, and he lives with us. And no one in my ministry even asked me about it. It was far easier to do than I imagined it would be in my busy schedule. I just kind of thought, I'm entertained so much. I'm always having people over studies and meals and stuff like that. I'll have to explain to people why I'm not eating. Didn't even come up. People didn't even ask. It just was very humbling because it was just a great reminder that I'm not the star of this show called life. I'm just kind of a bit player, and that really people are not paying attention to anything I'm doing very much. So it was good for my ego, good for my pride for sure. Another thing is that my prayers were a lot simpler and more direct. It wasn't like I was just kind of coming up with some big wordy, flowery prayers. It's just like, God, I need this. This is what needs to happen. Please do this. May you do this. just lay it out to God, and I repeated my quest to him over and over again. Another thing is my eating now is truly wonderful. It's great. Even healthy food, just like Seneca says, even coarse bread just tastes amazing. Like salad, I went back, and I was really careful when I went back that first day, especially to eat, like a good food that wasn't going to just like cause major stomach problems. And so even healthy food this week, like salad, tastes amazing and tastes satisfies like never before. Just it's a great practice. I lost about 15 pounds over the course of 180 hours or 7.5 days. And I've been able to use the fast to reset my diet, which is just kind of a side benefit. It wasn't the primary focus of my fast, but it has been good just to go, okay, let's, since you're going to eat anyway, let's go back and kind of reset it on a lower scale where you're not so desperate for all of the super fatty and sugary foods that you love so much. And so it kind of reset my diet and helped me to transition into a healthier diet going forward. I've gained back about 5 pounds over the last 4 days, just mostly water weight and just that, but basically reset about 10 pounds lower than when I started, which is really nice. So if you're thinking about fasting, I just say this, just do it. Okay. And I know that it's really challenging. Don't need to fast for 7 days. You can just fast for a day, but don't let fear's the big thing. That's the thing. The fear that you build up in your mind of like, oh, it's gonna be so tough, it's gonna be so challenging. Don't let fear stop you from doing something that will prepare you for greater work for God. Fasting is a powerful tool for faith and God reliance. I mean, I think we just got to take pause by the fact that as soon as Jesus got baptized, what's the first thing that he did? The Spirit led him out in the desert where he fasted for 40 days to prepare for the work of the ministry. I mean, 40 days. What did Moses do? He fasted for 40 days for the work once he'd called the people out on the mountain. It prepares you, it equips you, it humbles you, it teaches you to rely on God like never before. And so we can't, it's just tough. You just got to be careful not to dismissing, oh, I can't do it. I get too shaky or whatever. I can't start small, start reasonable, and just do it. Just don't make excuses about it. It will help you to grow spiritually. And it reminds us of our limitations and God's unlimited resources and power. That's just the biggest thing for me as I go, I can't do it. And that's okay. But God can. Nothing is impossible for God. Thanks for listening. Here's how you can help support the program. First, sign up for my weekly newsletter. The link is in the show notes. And secondly, read and review my latest book, The 10X Christian. You can find it on my website, or you can go directly to Amazon.com. And please write a review so other people can find it, because my goal is to inspire you to live a no regrets life, make this life count, and multiply disciples, leaders, and churches. Have a great day and make this life count.